I feel like it's important to understand that certain communities are disproportionately represented and impacted by a lot of our longstanding systemic issues. So, for instance, Black and Brown communities and LGBTQIA plus communities are often disproportionately represented in our systems. When we talk about child welfare system, Black and Brown communities, the juvenile justice system, criminal justice system, and even our homeless services system, these families are overrepresented. When we start thinking about why that is, it's important to understand the systemic and historical traumas and structures that we have in place that basically target and reinforce racist practices that impact those communities. It's important that our work is informed by those who are impacted by the situation. So what I mean by that is really just getting a deep understanding of the family's cultural differences, as well as their different experiences and how their culture and background impact the way that they experience the system, more specifically the homeless service system. What normal is may vary based on the families, and being able to have a flexible response to that while considering those different needs and cultural backgrounds will be the game changer in how we address family.
They feel like Black and Brown families are like not worthy to be themselves. And what I mean by that is like, you know, as a Black woman myself who has 2 kids, I was never this outspoken like I am now. And, you know, I had to educate myself. I feel like the system wants us to act the way that they want us to act or talk the way that they talk. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that we should all be talking the same. You know, everybody talks in their own different way. Everybody acts in a different way. You know, we all have different personalities. We all have different opinions. And I think the way that the system stereotypes Black and Brown families is just crazy.
A part of white supremacy and capitalism also means the focus on the individual and not the collective. And when we start to, when we're talking about change, we have to shift that perspective from the individual and start looking at the collective and start thinking about how does this collective, how does this system, how does this bigger thing impact individuals? You know, people don't wake up consciously saying, I'm gonna look for housing that's way out of my price range. Like, people don't wake up every day, you know, thinking I'm gonna go, you know, you know what I'm saying, like spend more than half of my income on groceries for my family. Like, people don't say I'm going to spend my whole, you know, income tax return on transportation that I can't maintain. Like, that's not, I don't think people wake up with that mentality of overspending on their basic needs. And housing is definitely one of those needs. Solutions oriented is white supremacy. See, you have to shift your mindset and really start calling out where it shows up so that you can effectively serve people. And that's not just for direct service providers, that's for funders too. That's for policymakers who may or may not have a disconnect from the reality of what that means for people on the ground. You know, for funders who oftentimes have the power to make that decision and oftentimes aren't the people who are impacted by the very things that we're advocating against. So it requires you to step out of your comfort zone and to really show empathy and understanding and come to this mind frame that we have to shift from that individual mindset to that community building. Black and brown communities are over-policed in every aspect of society. When we talk about affordable housing and the policies that are put in place, it's not always necessarily for safety. It's over-policing of communities of color and low-income communities.
Any programs that are offering services to families that are experiencing homelessness should stop using the excuse of criminal backgrounds as a way to prevent families from getting the help that they need. And it also means that if there is involvement with child protection with Black and brown families, that they should stop penalizing them. And what I mean by that is, like, let Black and brown parents be the parents that they want to be to their children.